Well, I think that we must face the fact that in reality you cannot have economic and political equality without having some form of social equality. I think this is inevitable, and I don't think our society will rise to its full maturity until we come to see that men are made to live together as brothers, and that we can have genuine intergroup, interpersonal living and still be in the kind of society which we all long to achieve.
50 years ago today, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. sat down for an interview on Meet the Press. The show aired just 3 days before his iconic I Have a Dream speech. Today, you'll have a chance to watch that interview in its entirety. In addition to the regular weekly edition of Meet the Press, a special edition will air at 11 a.m. Both programs will focus on the state of the American dream. Yesterday, tens of thousands of people retraced the steps of the historic March on Washington. Many of those in the crowd say the dream remains a work in progress. NBC's Brian Moore with the story.
Tens of thousands gathered at the Lincoln Memorial to honor the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, on the very spot where Dr. Martin Luther King inspired millions with his words.
I have a dream.
His son stood today to say the fight isn't finished.
I, like you, continue to feel his presence. I, like you, continue to hear his voice crying out in the wilderness.
But everything has changed, and nothing has changed.
As they did in 1963, speakers demanded economic justice and voting rights. There was also talk of immigration reform, gay rights, racial profiling, and Trayvon Martin, whose mother stood on the stage.
We have to fight for our children.
Congressman John Lewis is the last surviving speaker from 1963.
We cannot give up. We cannot give out. We cannot give in.
Recreating the March on Washington, some reflected on how far this nation has come.
We've made some strides, but we still got a long way to go.
It's a different world for this 13-year-old.
I feel happy that we're finally free and not, in a racist time anymore.
A half-century ago, marchers walked past the White House. Today, they passed the memorial that bears King's name. Dr. King might not have dared to dream that 50 years to the day after his famous speech, this nation's first African-American president would be standing in his footsteps here at the Lincoln Memorial. Brian Moore, NBC News, Washington.
8:07 is your time for another check at your forewarned weather. Nancy has it